The Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County expresses its strong condemnation of the International Criminal Court's recent decision to issue arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on charges of war crimes. This action by Prosecutor Karim Khan represents a troubling precedent that holds Israel and the Jewish people to a fundamentally different standard than the rest of the international community. Israel is not a party to the Rome Statute and has a recognized independent judiciary that actively investigates and prosecutes its military personnel for violations of criminal acts. The ICC's actions overlook this critical fact and fails to acknowledge Israel's commitment to uphold the rule of law within its own borders. The basis for these arrest warrants is centered on allegations of starvation among civilians in Gaza. While there have been anecdotal reports, they are extremely rare and there is no evidence of widespread starvation. In fact, food markets within the Strip have been open regularly during the conflict. Israel's responsibility to feed the population in this context is limited to facilitating the entry of humanitarian aid into the territory. It simply cannot be held accountable for the actions of Hamas and hostile entities that exploit civilian suffering as part of their wartime strategy. Notably, on the very day the warrants were issued, nearly 100 aid trucks were reported to have been robbed of their cargo, illustrating the ongoing challenges in delivering aid amidst a conflict where Hamas routinely targets relief efforts. Hamas's deliberate tactics alone have put civilians in harm's way, purposely designed to undermine any genuine attempts to alleviate suffering. This is conveniently ignored by the ICC. It is not only worth noting, but is also glaringly obvious that the international community has remained largely silent on far more obvious and egregious state actions, like the actions of leader Bashar al-Assad, who has used chemical weapons against his own people, yet has not faced prosecution by the ICC. This open double standard evidences a lack of impartiality of the court and its stated commitment to justice. What should be evident to any impartial observer is that the civilian casualty rate in the current conflict, while tragic, is significantly lower than prior military engagements, such as the wars in Afghanistan, where coalition partners like Great Britain and Canada have indicated a willingness to prosecute the Israelis in this circumstance, yet never held themselves to anything close to the standards being applied to the Jewish state. These countries have also struggled to protect their own Jewish populations in accordance with their own laws since the onset of the conflict on October 7, 2023, which was started by Hamas's brutal attack on Israel.
Down with the Canadian state! Down with anyone that supports so-called Israel! Fuck Canada's military support! Fuck its political support, and fuck its complicit citizens!
The Jewish populations continue to suffer to this very day. We at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center call upon the international community to recognize the complexities of this conflict and to hold the actual culpable parties accountable, rather than unfairly singling out Israel and its leaders for prosecution, while at the same time failing to protect their own Jewish citizens. HMTC remains committed to fostering understanding, tolerance, and justice. Thank you.